Yahshua, after delivering the Sermon on the Mount, narrated a parable to those gathered. And that parable can be found in Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 to 27. And it reads like this. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who has built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand, and the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. So the meaning of this parable may be quite obvious to some people, that a proper foundation is necessary when building a house. It's not wise at all to build your house on sand, because the foundation will be unsteady and the house will eventually suffer massive damage. Building this kind of house is a waste of time and a waste of resources, because it will eventually collapse. However, it is always wise to build your house on a firm foundation, because doing this makes the house stable and secure and able to withstand the storm. Yahshua was saying that we need to build our house according to his word. When the storms raged and the flood waters rose, the foolish man lost everything: his house, his finances, everything. The foolish man failed to plan for himself and his family. Therefore, he suffered a massive loss. If he had just listened to Yahshua's words and did them and built according to Yahshua's plans, things could have been different. But the builder who built on sand failed. He failed to plan for the storm and the flood. He just thought, I don't care about what Yahshua says, I'm building my house my way. Well, his plan, his way, failed. Because whoever does not plan according to the word of Yahweh ultimately ends up failing. Put simply, in this parable, Yahshua is laying out the plans for building life, everlasting life, abundant life. Isn't that living the best life? So, Yahshua begins by saying that you must hear his words. But he doesn't stop there. He goes on to say that you must act upon his words. You must do them. So, if we are going to build our house, our life on a solid foundation, we must do what Yahshua teaches in his word. The proper foundation for life is the word of Yahweh. And we should not just hear his words. We must truly listen to them and do them and put them into practice. But if we only hear the words of Yahshua and yet still go our own way and don't do what he says, then we are like a foolish person who builds his house on the sand. Just think about it. Who would want to build a house on sand? Perhaps the foolish man thought he was safe. His house was standing in the beginning. It looked great and everything was just fine. But when the floods came and the storms raged, there was no hope. His house collapsed and was destroyed. So, what about your life right now? Is your house built on a solid foundation, or has it been built on sand? Has your house already collapsed, like the house of the foolish man who built his house on the sand? Or maybe you are like the wise man who listened and obeyed what Yahshua had to say. The wise builder has faith and says, Yahweh is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. In him I will trust. Yahshua, he is our rock. He is our firm foundation. We can build our lives upon him and his word, for his word never fails. And if we obey Yahshua and follow his ways, we have the guarantee, the absolute guarantee, that no matter what flood beats upon us, no matter how fierce the storms of life may rage, and they will rage, he will never leave us nor forsake us. He is our firm foundation. Yahweh wants us living our best life by building our lives upon the eternal rock, the rock of ages, the rock of salvation, Yahshua, the Word made flesh. His life is the best life. He is our rock. So please, don't just be a hearer of the word, but be a doer also. He who is a hearer and not a doer of the word, Yahshua compares to the man who built his house upon the sand. It only took the flood of temptation and the stormy trials of life to break upon that life, and the foundation that they supposed was so secure was destroyed. They could have had abundant life with Yahweh if only they had listened to his word and built upon the firm foundation, which is Yahshua HaMashiach. So, where are you today? How are you doing? Are you going through a storm right now? Maybe the current situation with COVID-19 and the restrictions are swamping you. Maybe the storms and trials of life are overwhelming you. Maybe it feels like the flood waters are rising and you are struggling to keep your head above the water and you are about to drown. But know this, there is a hope. There is a rock that you can cling to. His name is Yahshua. Let him be a shelter from the storm. He cares about you. He cares about you and your situation. Call upon him in your distress, as the psalmist David did in Psalm 61, saying, Hear my cry, O Yah. Attend unto my prayer. From the ends of the earth will I cry out to you. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. When my heart is overwhelmed, Lead me to the rock that is higher than I.